let's draw the promised land. Gonna probably need a pencil for this one. If you don't have a pencil, you can always grab your permanent marker or just whatever you have on hand to draw with. You can even use an oil pastel. Let's start off, we're gonna draw a frame. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Mine's a little wonky, that's okay. This is just giving us a border. I like to do this because I feel like it makes my artwork look a little more finished, even if I don't have a frame handy. We're gonna make sure we draw inside the boundary that we just created. So come up on the side and we're gonna make curves right here. We're gonna kind of curve in and out. These are gonna be the cliffs that are gonna represent the wasteland. Okay, so we're gonna come middle-ish and just kind of out towards the center and then curve back in. Soft curves, nothing sharp, just some soft curves all the way down. There we go. Now where those curves are deep, we're gonna do some straight lines down to help give our perspective. All right, so we're standing on the cliffs. Imagine you're standing on the cliff and looking out into the distance. A little bit of sky, we want a lot of ground. So we're gonna draw a straight line all the way across our paper towards the top a little bit, because all this up here is gonna be the sky. Down below we have the promised land, and then now we have our cliffs. And pick a spot, any spot. Somewhere on here we're gonna make a river. Because, I mean, what's a promised land without water, right? So we're just gonna do another soft squiggle, gently winding river. Think of this as your guidelines. In just a minute, we're gonna go through with our oil pastels and we're gonna add all kinds of fun things. All right, so grab your blue. I'm gonna go with the lightest sky blue I can find. And I'm gonna start at the horizon. So everything above that horizon line that we just drew is sky space. Now, one cool technique to kind of help with depth perspective is we are going to use our lightest shade of sky right at the horizon line. So that's the farthest point that we're going to see. And then we're going to come up, just a little bit, not super far. Now we're going to switch to a slightly darker shade of sky. Not super dark, just one shade up, a little bit. Working them together. All right, and I have a little bit of space left. I think I'm gonna get one more shade in, just one step up from that one. This is our darkest. Now, our darkest part of the sky is going to be at the top of our paper, okay? Because that is the point that's going to be closest to us. I don't want quite that much dark. Let me go back and put some of the lighter shade right here. Yeah, bring them all up together. Right, use your fingers if you don't mind getting messy, and we're just gonna kind of smudge all that together, blend it all in. Blend all of our blues so they get this nice little ombre effect. If you don't want to get this on your fingers, you can always grab a cloth, a paper towel, toilet tissue, whatever you have handy. But it does help to blend them. right, that's got our sky color. A little bit right here. There we go. Oop, my cloth has some other colors on it. Whoopsies. All right, I think that's good. We're gonna go with that. And now we're gonna start working in some clouds. So I'm gonna grab my white. And a trick here to kind of help maintain that perspective, your larger clouds are gonna be towards the top of your sky. And yes, they're gonna come down and take up a good portion. I'm gonna do it right here in this dark spot where I accidentally got some other colors on. And I am using tiny circular motions to just kind of build my fluff of a cloud. All right, I'm gonna come, I don't know, maybe in the middle, draw a little bit smaller cloud. So as you move down towards the horizon line, your clouds are going to get smaller. Here, let me do one. Yeah, right here. And that helps your eye interpret that as, oh, that is farther away because that one is smaller. I always find clouds tricky because my brain wants to make patterns. And clouds are not really patterns, they're just kind of wonky. I'm adding a little more blue right here just because I was not super happy with the way my color came out right there. That's just a me thing. You can always go back and add more if you're not happy with the way it came out the first time. There we go. Looking a little more uniform sky, a little more ombre there going towards the horizon line. I like that. Okay, I want to get to my sky a little bit better. Really want to blend right here under the clouds and let them kind of fade into your sky. It's nice soft edges, not quite as harsh. All right, grab a, I don't know, like a bright, sunshiny yellow. And now we're gonna go in and do little curves, just randomly under the cloud, go along the base, anywhere that you might think, oh, that looks like a part of the cloud that's gonna pop out a little bit, like, you know, make it kind of 3D. We're gonna highlight all of our clouds like this. Like the sun, the golden sun is shining off the clouds. Maybe a pink, a little bit of pink too. Make it really look magical. And for good measure, let's grab a lavender, your lightest shade of purple. I mean, you don't have to do this if you don't want these colors on your clouds. You could always use gray, or even a little, like a tan, a really super light brown to kind of help give the definitions in your clouds. I just like to use these colors because I feel like it makes them look, you know, even more majestic and what you might see in the promised land. All right, when you get all that on, just take your finger and just kind of lightly, you don't want to overblend, but just kind of dab. Just kind of dab it a little bit. This just softens up those harsh lines that we just made and pulls them into the cloud a little bit. All right, last step, we're going to take our white and just some circular motions, not on top of those lines, but just to the inside of all those curves we just did to make your cloud nice and white and puffy. Alright, now let's work on the bottom portion of our promised land. We're going to start with our river. So pick you a blue, any blue, whatever blue represents the river to you, and we're going to trace our original line. And then I'm going to get another shade of blue. You're going to notice this a lot. We're going to work in lots of different shades. And I'm going to pull and widen my river as it comes down my page. I'm keeping the curves. I'm staying true to its form, but I'm just making it a little wider as it moves down the page. That plays into the perspective of its vastness. The vastness of this land is deeper and deeper. And then I like to do kind of like a greenish blue. Oh wait, let me do this. There we go. All right, let me get like the greenish blue, like the lighter one. I'm gonna work some of those highlights into our water. But again, you may not want this color in your water, and that's okay because you, my friend, are the artist. So you get to make the decision of what you think it needs to look like. I have students that will do pink rivers and purple rivers and all kinds of fun things. So it's really up to you. All right, let's switch to the ground. Grab you a dark green. We're going to do dark first. We're going to just start at the bottom on the outside edge, and we're using curved, slightly curved strokes. I might go to the top too and work down. So slightly curved just to give us some movement in our ground. And you will notice I'm leaving some white spaces, and that is okay. That is okay. We're going to go back and fill those in with some other colors. I am making my border just a smidge more solid because I want my edges to be darker. All right, and now I'm going with a slightly lighter shade. We're going to be using lots and lots of shades on this one. Working all these in. All right, sticking with that curve. Think of it like, blades of grass, but we're going horizontal instead of vertical. And we're going to keep working in all different shades. So I am intentionally leaving some white space so that when I add my lighter shades in, they'll really pop. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to outline our riverbank. Go from the river all the way down, making it just a little bit thicker, kind of like we just did on the border of paper. All right, and do the same thing on the other side of the river. Be careful not to trace over your cliff right there on this side. and we're going to come across. I am making some little shadowy parts. So you'll notice right here, I'm doing these a little thicker and pulling them down from the horizon. When we finish, this is going to be a dip in the landscape, just a little darker shadow part. And let me do the edge as well. Tracing around the outside of the cliff. Let's add in just a few more dark spots here, kind of shadowy right here. All right, grab you a lighter shade. I'm moving up into more of like an olive area. All right, and I'm pulling all of that green. I'm just layering it on top of what we've already done, and I'm pulling those greens together. Keeping those horizontal strokes. And again, leave some white space. Don't color it all solid. Leave you some white space so you can come back with an even lighter shade and add more depth and definition to your artwork. All right, done with that one. Let's grab another, like a lighter grassy kind of green. All right, we're gonna do the same thing we've been doing. We're just working in, focusing a little bit more on the white spaces, but still blending in to the darker areas that we've also already done, so that all of your greens move together. All right, let's grab, let's get the brightest green in the box, and we're going to use that one to get all of these left little places. So now our beautiful promised land has all of this movement to it. It's got all the shades, the darker areas, the brighter areas. Who knows what all's there? So full of good things. All right, I think I'm gonna add a little bit of brown. So I'm gonna get this earthy, browny, kind of like a dark olive color, and go in just here and there and just add a little bit more depth and definition. Because I think about if I'm standing on a cliff or a mountain and I'm looking out across the land, there are so many colors and shades and depth that, and I really want this to capture that. So we're gonna add a little bit of that in here and there. Maybe some color. Oh yeah, let's get our yellow. Okay, so we're gonna go through with our yellow and we're just gonna give some highlights now. Mainly where it's already on the lighter end. This is just kind of blending some things together. Filling in those places where there might still be a little bit of the white paper coming through, just to give us a little bit more movement. Think of this one as your blending tool. So you're helping all of those colors come together now. And when we're finished with this one, we shouldn't have any more little white pieces left. All right, grab a dark green and let's just make a few shady patches. Just a few, not a lot. Maybe one more right here. And I want my base. There we go. All right, let's add in some fruit or flowers, whatever you want them to be. Grab your favorite color. I'm going to use red. It could represent, different types of fruit, or it could be fields of wildflower, just whatever you prefer. Just dot, 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 little clusters of your color. I'm using red. Little clusters. And maybe one more here. I'm telling you, the hardest part is not making a pattern because my brain really wants to make a pattern right now. I feel like that looks good. So let's switch and I'm going to pick orange, and I'm going to do the exact same thing in the same cluster. I'm just adding in another layer of color. So now I have red, I have orange. I think we'll do yellow next. Just kind of giving the idea something is there. All right, here's my yellow. And then, oh yeah, that yellow is going to help brighten it up. Again, just a little dot, 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 and you're done. All right, and last, let's do a little bit of white. Just some little dots in there. That white and yellow really brighten it up, make it pop. Okay, so here is our promised land, filled with all the good things. All right, let's do our wilderness, the cliff area. So we're going to grab a gray, and we're going to fill in these little side pieces where we connected the loops that we made. This is the part that's showing the height of the cliff. We need some light gray, some blue. And we're just layering these colors in there in vertical strokes. You want to go up and down to kind of show the cliff. And then, your earth color, earth tone, kind of brown terracotta. That's the word, terracotta. Okay, you can use your white to blend all of that together. Really give that nice stone cliff kind of look. This is what gives us we're coming up on our lookout. We've been walking in the wilderness, in the desert, and wandering, and we're looking out over this beautiful land that has everything we could possibly dream of and everything we could possibly need. All right, so let's do the ground of our cliff. We're going to use a dark brown, and we're going back to our horizontal strokes, just like we did the grass, but we're going to do it with brown. Make sure you make a nice sharp edge, going tracing back over the curves that we made. Okay, now we're doing our horizontal strokes all the way to the edge. You can leave some white, some blank space. That's totally fine because we're going to go back through with some other shades of brown to really make this pop. This one's kind of like a medium terracotta color. All right, let's go maybe a lighter shade. Really blend it in. I'm going to use this olive color. I'm still in the brown family, but it does have a little bit of green. But I'm using it as my blending agent this time. So you're still going to see primarily your browns, but this one is going to be bringing those colors together. Really want to show the contrast between what we're coming out of, right? And this is what God is showing us, the promised land. This is the land I have promised you. After walking in this harsh land all this time, let's throw some gray in here, like some stones. Yeah. Just some other blobs. A little bit of black. I know my pastel looks gray and it's coming up black. It's actually like a really dark charcoal kind of color. Makes a good shadow. So if you go around the edges of your cliff with that one, it kind of helps with the definition of it. All right, one more layer of shadow. We're going to use our darkest brown. And we're just coming up around the curves of our cliff. Might even curve in a little bit here, might kind of make another level almost. And a little crease here, and maybe pull it back towards the line a little bit. Giving a little bit of shadow and definition to our space. I like to use my finger to blend, but if you want to use a paper towel, cloth, whatever, go for it. All right, last step, we're going to take our black and let's draw some little scraggly branches. And I do this by just making kind of like a V shape or X's, crisscross. Just make them look like a bush that's all dried up, right? The branches of a bush. There's nothing growing there. All right, and there you have so fun. Hey, grab a pencil or a scratch tool and sign your name. Scratch your name into the oil pastels. That's a fun way to sign.